Napa guy knows not to judge a man by his car's multicolored paint job or absence of modern gadgetry. Who cares if it's technically old enough to vote and the windows are powered by the strength of your left arm? Your monthly payment is zero, and it'll stay that way. Because with over 400,000 parts and a little Napa know-how, you can keep anything on the road. She may not be pretty, but she's all yours. That's Napa know-how.
Everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man, and if you want to get your money's worth, you listen to Unlimited Radio.
Welcome back to Lowdown Radio, again only on UnlimitedRadio247.com, as well as GFL.TV. And ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome back our co-host, Chavo Guerrero Jr. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. What's going on there, Shawn?
Oh, man, I'm living the dream, man, living the dream. Get to co-host this show with you, and, man, what can we say about our guest tonight? You know, he should be in the Hall of Fame, and I think it's a travesty he's not already there, Mr. Honky Tonk Man.
Absolutely, man, absolutely. Just a phenomenal guy to be in the ring with, and just a great all-around, man, you're talking about live the dream. That guy's, man, he's been around. He's been everywhere.
Yeah, he sure has. He sure has. Arguably, you could say he's the greatest Intercontinental champion of all time. He is the reason why that belt is the Intercontinental champion. And,
absolutely.
You know, he was rattling his role all the way through the 80s and into the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. And, man, it's awesome to be able to speak to him tonight, you know, as a fan myself. You know, I remember yelling at that TV screen all the time as a kid.
Well, being one of the wrestlers, you know, we're all fans of his work, but we're fans of him, just his stories and just his personality, man. Because if you don't know Honky Tonk Man, he really is a larger than life character. He's a larger than life person out there. You know, you really have got to treat yourself and talk to this guy in person one of these days.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we are going to do is we are going to take a very quick break. Obviously, we got our bills we need to pay, and when we come back, we're going to bring on the one and only, the Honky Tonk Man, live on Lowdown Radio.
Stay tuned.
For all your hair cutting and shaving needs, contact Bada Bing Barbershop, located at 6446 Paramount Boulevard, Long Beach, California, 90805. Some of their services include shampoos, regular cuts, fades, lineup, and full-service shaves. To make an appointment, call Tony at 562-984-2233 and let him know Lowdown Radio sent you for a very exclusive discount.
Greetings, my Madcast Nation. Madness here. Join me, CJ Xavier, and Kevin Dagger every Thursday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for the Madcast Podcast. Get all the hottest wrestling news from three guys with over 40 years of combined experience in the wrestling business. That's the Madcast Podcast, here on UnlimitedRadio247.com. And that's all I got to say. Why? Because I have no catchphrase. Do you remember the days before professional wrestling was called sports entertainment? Then join promoter Bob Brooks every Saturday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern for classic professional wrestling, as he takes you back to the golden days of professional wrestling, all the way to the 80s, on UnlimitedRadio247.com. You never know who or what she'll be pulling out from under her mat, but you can find out on Under the Mat with the lovely Paloma every Wednesday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, Hear about wrestling from a woman's perspective on UnlimitedRadio247.com.
I got long sideburns and my hair slicked back. I'm coming to your town in my pink Cadillac. I'm just a honky-tonk man. I'm just a honky-tonk man. I'm just a honky-tonk man. I'm cool, I'm cocky, I'm bad.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Lowdown Radio, and please help us welcome the one and only, the Honky Tonk Man. How are you, sir?
Well, you forgot to say the greatest WWE Intercontinental Champion of all time.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
Well, you know, I always have to correct some of the radio hosts and everything, but I thanks for having me on the show, and I know we have a lot to talk about, and I know it's going to be really, really fun. And with Chavo Guerrero Jr. Is sitting there listening in and chiming in whenever he wants to bring up some old stories that I might have forgotten that brings back good memories. I have no bad memories, really, other than the fact that I was probably not too politically correct. But with that,
that was a good thing. That was a good thing about it back then, man.
Well, with that being said, I heard the bumper for the Hall of Fame thing, and I actually did turn them down in Phoenix. I thought it was a slap in the face. Why not give me a nice trip to across the country and fly my wife and kids, and would you mind driving over? Can I get a parking pass? Can I even get in the fucking building?
That's the old school right there, man. We love that.
So anyway, but they waited till the last minute, and they shouldn't wait on that kind of stuff. These are things that you don't wait until 3-4 weeks out and say, hey, can you come over now? Since you live there, we thought it'd be a great honor to honor you in your hometown. Well, Phoenix is not a hometown to anybody.
A cactus.
Nobody's from here. People move here from everywhere else. But anyway, Chavo, it was good to know that you're there. And I ran across you in L.A. a few weeks ago, and we didn't get to visit very long. But the Guerrero family, myself, go way, way, way back. As far as I've wrestled all of your, I would say your uncles, because
that's right.
God bless him, Eddie. The first time I ever met him was in Winnipeg, and he came up to do a show for a guy, and I said, now, which one of the Guerreros is your dad? And he said, Gordy, he's my dad. Yeah. And I was like, what? I didn't know that. I knew Mondo, and I knew Chavo, and of course I knew Hector, but I never knew that. And I said, I felt so embarrassed about it. And
Eddie was the last ditch effort of my grandfather.
Yes, that's what he told me, and then it was about a week before he went back to WWF. I think he was out of work for a little bit and doing some indie shows for about a month after WCW, maybe.
Okay.
So that's where I ran across him, and then I didn't run across him again for like 8 or 9 years, because they didn't call me back for like 8 or 9 years, which we had mentioned that 203 area code. You don't sit by your phone and wait on it.
Right.
If it does pop up, sometimes I don't answer it because it could be anybody from there. And the other day it was somebody from the magazine. I said, I ain't got nobody. Look, if you can't give me a job, don't call me.
Right. You got people out there. Well, that office rotates so often that one person you talk to is in charge this day, and then next week he's fired. There's somebody else in charge, and you're like, you got to start over again.
I know you were there when I came over for Phoenix for the Cyber Sunday with Santino Morello, and I had seen by sitting there all day the changes that had been done and how they do business now, and it was like a situation where, this really is not for me.
Sure, I got you.
Right.
I don't want to get into you guys' questions, but I think a person needs to create their own character and develop that own character. And because the only way for you to get a character over is it's something that you believe in and something you can do.
I agree. If it's not yours, nobody knows you better than you.
Right. I mean, and I had 20 different characters before I was ever the Honky Tonk Man, and I never really made. The only one that really worked for me was when I was with the Spot Moondog. God bless him. He died in the ring. One of the few guys who actually passed away in the ring. But we were together as the Blonde Bombers, and we clicked. We clicked very well together and did, a lot of good work. There's people out there now that approach me and say, "Gosh, we didn't know you had a career." I had a 12-year career before I was even in WWE.
That's what people, a lot of people don't realize a lot of times, because WWE is so big and just so, everybody knows it and watches it, that, the wrestlers, especially you guys back then, you guys, you didn't even get into the WWE until you were 10, 12, 15 years in the business.
Right. Everyone in our locker room back then was we're all main event players from other territories.
Absolutely.
And no matter who was on the card, no matter who wrestled who, you were going to have a main event match.
Absolutely. Right. You guys were all. It's totally changed. I when I was in the locker room one time, and I was thinking, I was 10 years in, and I was looking around. I was the veteran in the locker room, and I was going, wait a minute, this isn't right, because I remember growing up watching, I saw it indirectly and seeing, my dad being in the locker room with all these guys, all these veterans that had been around and been wrestling for 20 years already, and that's when they were the veterans, So I'm looking around going, this is not right. I mean, I'm 10 years in, and I'm the veteran around here. We had Undertaker was hurt, Ace wasn't there. Different.
That's a very good point, because when I was back there, like I said, and it was one of those cases where you look around the locker room, and I knew Triple H from when he was breaking in with Kowalski, and of course Undertaker when he first came into the WWE, and people of that stature, and the road agents who I had worked with and were at the company with me, but all the other guys, and there was two girls, and I'm not knocking the divas by any means. There was two girls that actually knew who I was, and it was
right.
Natty Neihart and Beth Phoenix. And I knew Beth when she started in Toronto, and of course I knew Natty from being Jim's daughter.
Sure.
I mean, but I do have to say this: Vicky Guerrero did come up and introduce herself to me, and she was the only other girl who introduced herself to me.
That was taught to her by Eddie, just talking to me and showing that respect, and that's something that she definitely has. And not saying that the other people don't have it, they don't know. They will never really not that.
Here's what I say, and Chavo might agree with me. I don't want to get him in any trouble because but he might agree. The kids nowadays, they are not fans of wrestling, of the wrestling business. They are not wrestling historians. They are fans of a show called Raw.
And another thing too, that was a lot of times it's the business definitely changed. It was never given to you. You chased this. They made you work to be a wrestler, to work to get into. You had to earn your stripes. And now it's changed a lot to where it's nobody's fault. It's just all the territories has dried up, and it just changed. Now these guys, they're looking at a gym or on a football field or something, and they're scouting these guys. And hey, would you like to come and become a WWE wrestler? And these guys are like, yeah, okay, I'll try it. And it's something that's completely changed. You chased it, Honky. You worked in territory for $20, for $5 for free. Buying beer for the boys, getting your ass kicked, because that's you wanted to be a wrestler, right?
Well, I mean, I love the business. I still love the business, and I get a bad rep sometimes from people say, "Oh, he's bitter." I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter about the business. I'm bitter because the kayfabe has been taken out of the business. Our secrets have been given away to people, and we as wrestlers didn't do it. The promoter who booked the matches did it. The promoter who went to the athletic commission and said, "Look, we're a theatrical company. This is what we do. It's not our fault." But then if we go out and do something bad in a match, then the first thing they do is say, "Oh, you guys just smartened up 20,000 people. You smartened up 20 million at WrestleMania."
Yeah. Do you remember when Ed Mansfield did that 2020 interview?
Oh, I'll never forget that.
How much heat he had. I mean, every wrestler wanted to kick this guy's ass. Everyone. Well, yeah. I mean, I watched it with my dad. I remember watching it. I must have been 7, 8 years old, 9 years old. I watched it. I was pissed off. And I was looking at my dad, and my dad was steaming, going, "Oh, my God." Because he knew him really well and wrestled with him so much, he was going, "Gosh, damn it." You know, he was pissed.
Well, you know, it was one of those things where sooner or later it's going to come out anyway, and now it has. Sure. It's come full force about this thing and the hepatitis stuff and WWE's supposed to have this no blood policy and of course they still, you know, people get hit over the head with chairs and bleed and concussions. We never thought about that stuff. We just went out and we did it because we enjoyed entertaining the fans.
Absolutely.
Right. You know, and correct me if I'm wrong, Honky, but you know, back in your era, you know, you guys basically had your own matches. You guys did it in the ring. You didn't have someone choreograph it. You didn't have somebody telling you how the match was going to go. I mean, honestly, as a wrestling fan, you know, I remember you back in the 80s, and I swear to God, I loved yelling at you at the TV because I thought you were the greatest. I mean, you did your job to perfection, and you know, that's why you are one of the greatest that I remember as a kid. And you know, do you feel, I mean, like today's day and age, you know, you got these people behind the scenes, you know, telling these wrestlers, this is the way it's going to go, this is the storyline it's going to work, you know. I mean, to me as a fan, it's confusing.
Well, we were never told anything other than the finish. That's all. Okay. That was it. I mean, sometimes when I first started, and you know this from your grandfather and back in those days, the boys would go to the ring. They had a 2 out of 3 fall tag match. They stayed in the ring for 3 falls, and the referee would give them a finish.
That's right.
I mean, the referee would walk over halfway through the match and say, "He's going to catch you with a sunset flip." So, I mean, and you didn't even know when he was going to do it, except that's how it was done. And so we were able to wrestle what we call off the cuff. When I was back there and I saw Santino Marella, he had 15 pages, and this kid is fantastic. I have to say that. Because of all the stuff he has to remember. He had like 15 pages of dialogue, 15 pages of script. Read. And when he delivered all the lines perfectly.
Right. You know what? It's a dying art. The art form that you have.
I remember they brought Nick Bockwinkel in, and I love Nick to death, and I always have. But we were doing interviews one day, and we were in this little portable room they set up at the building. They had a little soundproofing room, and we'd go in and stay for like 2 hours and sweat like a bastard, and then have to go to the ring, work, and then come back and do some more. But anyway, Nick says, "You know, my boy, I think if you stand this way and deliver your dialogue this way," I said, "Nick, I got to do it my way. I can't do it." "No, you need to do it this way." So I got back to the hotel, and about 4 in the morning, I was still awake. I called Vince, who never sleeps. I called him, and I said, "Look, tell Nick Bockwinkel, do not interfere with my goddamn interviews anymore."
Right. And you know what? It was like, what people don't realize is that when you were breaking in, or your era, it was the Wild West. You guys were, I mean, these wrestlers, every one of them was the toughest SOB around, and you had to be, because if not, they'd rib you and they'd kick your ass out of the business. And you know, it changed. You know, it just changed. But these guys, every one of them, were just tough as nails. You know, I remember a story my dad telling me that Bill Watts told him, there was a promoter in UWF, and goes, "Hey, if you guys can go out and have drinks at the bar, and if you get in a fight, no problem, but you better win, because if you lose, you're fired." And he goes, "I can't have my wrestlers getting beat up by a guy in the bar."
Oh,
so these guys,
of course not.
Yeah, you wrestlers were fighting for your jobs now. You know, it wasn't just fighting for pride. You're fighting for your job, for your livelihood at that bar, you know?
It was so different that we could not even stay in the same hotel where
right.
the good. See, I was a bad guy, so the bad guys couldn't get caught riding with the good guys. They couldn't stay in the same hotels. They couldn't ride on the same airplanes. I mean, which we didn't have airplanes anyway back then. You know,
right.
I was driving 3,000 miles a week, and God, somebody said, "How did you do it?" I said, "Well, I had 2 suitcases and a 13-inch black and white TV."
Right.
I mean, that's what I lived with.
Right. But so my point is that when it was the Wild West, you know, you would tell people, you would tell an agent, you would tell anybody really whoever it was, whether it be a promoter or whatever, and say, hey, you need to back off. If you want me to get this over, you need to back off and let me do it my way. Well, now, you know, it's just changed. The wrestlers now they're so scared shitless sometimes that they can't say anything. They're like, okay, whatever you want. Oh, okay. And they're so yes men now, which, you know, comes across on TV sometimes. You know, it really does.
It does come across on TV. You're absolutely right, and that's where the character is not the real person, and you have to believe in what you're looking into the camera and saying. You have to believe it, and if they're writing the script and they're telling you, don't say this, don't say that, say this, say that, don't mention this, don't mention that, then it comes through as a character fault, and it comes off as if someone, and wrestlers, believe me, you know this, Chavo.
Yes.
Wrestlers are not actors.
That's
we're
right.
not. In fact, we're like trailer park actors.
It's not Shakespeare. It's Monty Python's Flying Circus, right?
We're like the worst in the world, and every wrestler wants to go to Hollywood and be an actor. Well, there's only been one that's really made it big, and that's The Rock. And
that's
of course, Stone Cold, he's made some of his action movies, but he's never going to be a George Clooney. Sure. I mean, Stone, if you're listening to me, I'm going to just tell you right now. And when the business changed dramatically to this, you know, crotch chopping, beer drinking, cursing on TV, necrophiliac angle, I tell you who it hurt, and it hurts you right now as a young guy who can still produce out here in the business, and a young guy who can get a lot of independent bookings, but a lot of independent people and promoters will not book us anymore because they think it's a TNA show. It's not TNA is in down there, but tits and ass.
Right.
And they think it's beer drinking, cursing, and principals, civic organizations say, no, we don't want anything to do with that wrestling.
That's true. You're right. And even if we're telling them we're going to go out and give them a good wrestling match and entertain them by telling a story in that ring, you know, sometimes they don't get it. They don't understand that can still be done.
They still remember, the people in charge still remember the DX, you know, pointing at your at your privates and all that nonsense that they were doing back then, that cutting edge. That's what they remember. They remember the hardcore bleeding all over the place and spitting blood into the crowd. And, you know, I've seen all this stuff, and if I could strangle some of these people, I would, who have done these things. Like, you know, I was somewhere one night, and you've probably seen it now, and being out on the Independence, they had fluorescent light bulb match, and they had yes, and they were hitting each other and slamming each other on fluorescent light bulbs. Now, what if that little piece of glass hit some little girl in her eye or some little boy, and they lost their eyesight? I mean, that's not wrestling. We're not stuntmen.
Right. That's one of those. That's that Japanese style that everybody adopted. You know, that hardcore Japanese style, and you know, it's that shock TV. But you know, I mean, how many times can you see the guy go through the light bulb? It's like if you have a light bulb out there, and that's like the finish. Finally, they go through it. Okay, fine. But these guys will lock up, and 2 seconds into the match, they're hitting somebody with a light bulb. Well, after you've seen 20 light bulbs hitting the guy with it gets boring. You know?
I was watching, and I watched very little of it, but I was in Boston. It came on like 2 in the morning, and I was working up there for Killer Kowalski. God bless him, the greatest guy in the world. And I turned the TV on, and I saw an ECW. I saw one of their, and it was Sabu and Rob Van Dam, and they hit and kicked and drop-kicked each other with a chair no less than 30 times during the match.
Wow.
Now, I'm telling you, if you drop-kick a guy with a chair and he's holding it against his face, it's over.
Yeah, you only have to hit me once with a chair. That's it.
Well, I tell you what, out here on this independent where you are right now, you don't let any of these kids touch you.
Hell no. No way.
Well, Honky, we do have some callers here that would like to speak to you. Is it okay to take a caller from one of your loyal fans?
Yeah, real quick. Let me give the Hector Guerrero story.
Oh, good. I want to hear it.
So I'm out here in the middle of nowhere in Kansas, and we're working for a monster truck guy, and Hector's on the show, and Duggan and myself and Jake the Snake, and it was a good crew of guys.
Good crew, yeah. Heck,
good crew. We were out way out in Kansas in the middle of nowhere, and I'm booked with Hector. So, and I haven't seen Hector in like 15 years before that, or maybe longer. And he comes over to me in his nice, polite way, and he says, because he's such a polite gentleman, and he says, do you mind if we do that spot we used to do back in Memphis where I'll hit you with the 2 tackles, and then you go outside the ring, and I'll dive through the ropes, and you catch me? I said, Hector, you're as old as I am. I can't catch you. So anyway, he walks away with his head down. He goes to Duggan because Duggan's going to come in and interfere in the finish. So he goes to Duggan. He says, do you mind if I climb up to the top and I dive off and you catch me? And Duggan went, hey, brother, I ain't catching anybody. But I said to him later on, I said, Hector, are you kidding me? He said, first he wanted, in the beginning of the, he says, can you still take the head scissors, the Mexican head scissors, where a lot of people don't understand this because the guys don't do it anymore, but it's upside down. The guy does a handstand, twists his ankles around your neck, and then gives you a flip. Rey Mysterio does it still, I think, but nobody else ever does it. We call it the Mexican head scissors. And I learned how to take it because I learned all styles. So when Hector came to Memphis, I was the guy that would take the scissors. Larry couldn't take them because he was 300 pounds back then, Spot Moondog. So, but I would take them from Hector, and I would take them from Javo, and of course, when I worked with Mondo, I'd take them from him because they say, do you mind taking these? I said, sure, I don't mind. I know how to do them. But, I mean, I'm 50 years old back then, and then Hector, I said, Hector, I can't take that anymore. And he was, like, so deflated, he just walked away with his head down and everything. And you know what? I've not seen him since then.
Wow. Okay, Honky, but we do have a caller here from one of your loyal fans. This is a caller from the area code 562. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am.
What's up, Ken? How are you, sir?
Hey, not much. It's not often I get to talk to a living legend.
Well, I'm just glad to be alive right now.
And I'm with Shawn. I watched you on TV, and I'd literally sit there and scream at the TV because I hated you.
I know. Every time I said I was walking down the street looking for a fight, you said, I'm 9 years old. If he comes down here, Dad, I'll kick his ass.
I have a question. I was wondering, I remember a time where you were going to hit Elizabeth with a guitar.
Yes.
And I think Macho Man got in between you and all that stuff, and Hogan came out. What was it like to work with the lovely Elizabeth and Macho Man?
I had probably people always ask, what are some of your best matches? Well, after a period of time, over years, you have so many good ones, and you forget about the bad ones anyway. But we really had a good run together as being drawing money and the gears clicking, and working with her was fine. Everything had to be run by Randy first. He was very protective of her, which is nothing wrong with that. But if you remember, the Hart Foundation came out and held Randy that night, and then Hogan came out, and the Mega Powers became. Randy was a heel that night. I was a bad guy that night. He was a bad guy. So it's us two bad guys, and Hogan makes the save, which made Randy and Hogan the two good guys. And we, the Hart Foundation and myself, we never had return matches with those two guys. Never.
I remember that. I honestly do. I do remember the Hart Foundation coming out and trying to hold you back and whatnot, because I watched that on TV.
They held Randy while Randy took the guitar shot, and you know what, Randy, of all the nonsense he's ever done, he did not want the guitar to be gimmicked in any way, and I said, no, absolutely not. I'm not doing this because I'm not hurting you because you're a good guy, and so I gimmicked the guitar so it was okay.
Well, where'd the idea for the guitar come from?
It was just, Robert Fuller, of all people, Colonel Parker in WCW, gave me that thing. He gave that idea to me way down in Pensacola and Dothan and Mobile, Alabama back in the early 80s.
Wow.
He gave me that whole idea, that whole thing. He said, man, you look like Elvis, because I had sideburns since I started in the wrestling. He said, man, because I had blonde hair first and I dyed it black and kept the sideburns. He said, man, you look like Elvis. Let's take a guitar out there, man. You hit somebody over the head with it, heck, we'd be off and running. Next thing you know, that's what we're doing.
Wow. Well, thank you, Honky Tonk Man. It was really a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for calling.
All right. See you guys later.
All righty, man. Well, Mr. Honky, that was one of your very loyal fans here. And ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to take a very small, quick break. We got to make sure we get the sponsors paid. And when we come back, we're going to be back with the one and only Mr. Honky Tonk Man. Again, this is Lowdown Radio on UnlimitedRadio247.com.
I got long sideburns and my hair slicked back. I'm coming to your town in my pink Cadillac. I'm just a honky-tonk man. I'm just a honky-tonk man. I'm just a honky-tonk man. I'm cool, I'm cocky, I'm bad. I pick a mean guitar, I wear a blue suede shoes. You ought to hear me sing the snakeskin blues. I'm just a honky-tonk man. I'm just a honky-tonk man. I'm just a honky-tonk.
For all your hair cutting and shaving needs, contact Bada Bing Barber Shop, located at 6446 Paramount Boulevard, Long Beach, California, 90805. Some of their services include shampoos, regular cuts, fades, lineup, and full-service shaves. To make an appointment, call Tony at 562-984-2233 and let him know Lowdown Radio sent you for a very exclusive discount.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Lowdown Radio. And again, this week we have the one and only Mr. Honky Tonk Man. And man, Honky, it was awesome hearing those stories and everything. And why was it that Hogan got such a big push during the '80s? Was that something that Vince thought it was time for him to get his limelight, basically?
That's a really good question. I've never been asked that, but I'll try to answer it in a way that the fans can understand it. I think Hogan, and the first day I saw him was in the early '80s down in Memphis and Pensacola. In fact, in Mobile, he came in. Louis Tillett was a booker in Florida and Tampa, and sent him up for the Fullers. And as soon as the guy walked through the door, it's very much like The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. I mean, this Dwayne Johnson, you can look at him and he's got money written on him. I mean, you can just see money on this kid, and I knew it even when they were going, Rocky sucks, Rocky sucks. I wish they would have gave him to me as the next Intercontinental Champion as opposed to Billy Gunn. Nothing against Billy, but Billy just did not have what this kid, The Rock, had. And first time I saw Hogan, it was the same thing. It was like seeing this creature that had a light shining on him that was made of money. He could talk, he could work, he could do everything. He gets a bad rep as far as people saying, well, he didn't know how to. Yes, he did know how to wrestle. He's a very good wrestler. Try taking him down on the mat, you'll find out. But he didn't have to. Once he learned how to do the ear, and then once he learned the leg drop and all that stuff, he was an overnight sensation. He drew the biggest house, and he'd only been in the business for like a month. He drew the biggest gate in Dothan, Alabama at the Farm Center against Harley Race. Maybe not. I'm thinking they had that show outdoors. I was gone. I had left 2 weeks before. Anyway, he drew the biggest outdoor gate in Dothan, Alabama against Harley Race, and he was only 4 weeks in the business at that time.
Wow. Well, hey, Honky, I'm sorry, this Chavo again. I had got cut off, and thanks, Elfwood. I apologize. But you know what? I'll if I can elaborate on that too, man. What people don't understand is that when Vince, it's not like Hogan or Cena or whatever is the only person that can draw the money, but Vince will see who's his quarterback. If it's in Vince's mind, this guy's is my quarterback. I'm giving him the ball. Then that's what happens, you know. They do build a team around that person. Yes, they do. Absolutely. And it's not like just John would be the only one, the golden child, as you want to call it, or Hogan, or whatever. But Vince got a great eye, and look at the people that he's picked, and how far they've gone with these people. You know, Hogan, like you said, Hogan, what an entertainer! In the ring, you know, people just loved him.
Yes, I mean, to me, and I've said this over and over, there have been several people that you can count that has changed the way society looks at something. Muhammad Ali changed boxing.
Yep.
The President of the United States, whoever it might be right now, or tomorrow, is the most recognizable character on the planet. Tiger Woods changed the way people look at golf.
That's right.
Hulk Hogan changed the way people looked at wrestling.
Right.
And when you look at people and say, these are the most recognizable people on our planet, you have to include him in that. And, for that, I'll be forever grateful because I met him and many, many years ago down in Pensacola, and him and Beefcake needed a place to sleep. We shared our apartment with him. We didn't charge him any rent. I let him use my car. His payback to me, for me to get to WWE, is something that I can never say enough thank you about. Now, we've had our issues over the years, but I can never say enough. And every boy out there right now, when you walk into those big, big arenas, should say, thank you, Hulk Hogan, because before that, we were in Scranton, Pennsylvania at the Catholic Youth Center, and Chavo, you've probably been there. if they were still running it back in, or Poughkeepsie, New York, or nothing against any of those places, but I mean, we were in dirt buildings and we were in high school gyms and VFW halls, and Hogan took us away from that. And I was sitting at the Denny's restaurant, and you know this place very well, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, at the Denny's,
right.
And Triple H and Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold were sitting there, and Owen Hart, God bless him. And Stone Cold says to me, he says, the fans are cheering for me, and I don't understand it, and I want to be a heel. I don't understand. I don't want to be a baby face. And I said, listen, Steve, whether he'll ever acknowledge it or not, I don't know. But I said, Steve, keep doing what you're doing and let the fans do what they want to do. And I said, you can't go wrong, because the fans are going to be the ones who determine your future.
Absolutely, they're going to dictate really where they want to cheer you or they want to boo you. I the exact same things you're saying right there. Eddie and I were tag team partners, and we were lie, cheat, and steal. They hated us. And then we filmed those one vignettes where we stole the baby bottle, and we did this, and we went from coming out to them booing us to all of a sudden we came out one week and they cheered us, and we looked at each other and went, shit, we're baby faces. And we wanted to be heels. We just wanted to be heels. And they're like, we're like, damn it. We looked at Triple H. We went, what happened? He goes, man, you guys got entertaining. And Stone Cold was just entertaining. People wanted, no matter what it was, if you're entertaining, you entertain those people. They want to cheer you.
He did. Him and I were sitting together at the bar at that Denny's, and you know where it is in Pittsburgh. And the other guys, Shawn and them, were down toward the other end of the bar, and he asked me. He said, "What? I don't know what to do." He said, "I don't want to be a baby face, but they're cheering me." I said, "Look, let the fans tell you what to do. Don't change anything. Don't change what you're doing. Just keep doing it." And he went out and started giving the finger, drinking beer, and he made more money than anybody.
Yep. And I think that's why it worked, because he didn't change his style. He kept the same style. He just sold more in the ring, but he still flipped them off, drank beers, and it just changed, And then all of a sudden he's, everybody's got that thing where they hate their boss and they want to they want to punch their boss, and all of a sudden he was punching out Vince McMahon and making him kiss his butt and all the other different cool stuff that he did. That people lived through him. They saw that and they wanted to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yes,
absolutely, and he did it. He did it in a heel way, where Vince was really the baby face, but Vince came off as the biggest heel. Vince was the biggest heel in the country.
That's right. And that was smart of Vince when he's got all of his other heels and wrestlers leaving to other companies and stuff. And all of a sudden he made himself the biggest heel because he wasn't going to go anywhere.
Yes. Then he made his son, his daughter, his wife.
That's right.
So he says, okay, all of you can leave. I got this thing covered.
That's right. And that's when he started building, when he changed that marquee from saying Hulk Hogan versus the Iron Sheik to just the WWF.
Right.
That's another smart, Vince McMahon, really is just such a smart, creative guy. And, he'll tell you straight up that he's failed a lot in his life, but the things that he hits on, man, does he hit big.
He is, he's a creative genius. I mean.
Absolutely.
I was reading just before I came on the air with you guys so I can share it with you, and I haven't read the whole thing or listened to it, but it was a J.J. Dillon interview where J.J. mentioned Vince likes to recreate characters that have already been developed.
Right.
And he actually did it with me. He didn't do it so much with us guys like Piper and Morocco and Fuji and the guys before me, but by the time myself and Macho Man and us, we came on the scene, and Ravishing Rick Rude, Ravishing Rick Rude never did the stripper gimmick, but he made him stand there and do the stripper gimmick and in front of Jake's wife and everything, but he tweaked my little honky tonk man a lot. He tweaked it for every TV session. He would tweak me a little bit and say, now when you do this interview, do this and flip that hair and turn sideways and be all itchy and twitchy and he had me doing all that goofy shit that I didn't want to do, but you know what? It paid off. He tweaked the character. He made the character the way he wanted it.
Right.
And at that point, I was still politically correct, so I went along with it. And since then, I became more not politically correct, so obviously I'm unemployed.
Hey, I'll tell you what, they still start paying you that same money, I'm sure you'd go back to flipping that hair and being PC again, right?
Well, yeah, I think I have a lot to offer to these young kids, but
absolutely.
They don't want my kind of guy backstage. You know who they want backstage.
Right.
They got the guys they want. They have the people. My problem is this, and the other day when I saw you, I didn't get a chance to speak with you very long, but Road Dogg was there, and I had a minute to speak with him because I was just with him a month before that down in Alabama on a independent show, you know, and I says to him, "You'll like this." I said, Have you learned how to sharpen that sword yet? He said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Put that knife in the back." He says, "You know what?" He said, I had a problem. Somebody wasn't in dress code on one of the planes, and I didn't say anything about it, and somebody stooged me off, and I got the knife in my back. I said, "Son, you better sharpen that sword."
That's it. Yeah, it's true. It's true though. You know, you're there for a job, and unfortunately, because all the agents that are there, you know, that the last thing they want to do is be ratting on the other wrestler and say, "Hey, you know, you got you got a dress code, or you did this wrong, you did that wrong." But if they don't, they're getting the heat. I remember Arn Anderson telling me Arn Anderson one time was telling me, he goes, "Hey guys, I'm tired of he addressed everybody. He goes, "I'm tired of taking the heat for you guys, because when you guys don't tell me you're going to do something in the ring and you do it, and Vince asked me why he didn't know that they were going to do that, and you guys just did in the ring, well, then Arn gets the heat for it, or the agent gets the heat for it, whatever it is." And so they're tired of taking all the boys' heat. They get enough heat.
That's why they put two agents in the town. One stooges on the other one.
Right, you know all about it. Right.
I've known that for a long time. One stooges on the other one.
Oh man.
Old Jack Lanza, old Tarhead. That's the best name was ever given. God bless him. Road Warrior Hawk gave him that name. Tarhead Jack Lanza. You know that one-eyed bastard. Anyway, he'd stab you in the back for a nickel. He didn't care. He would come to me because he knew Strongbow and myself and Savage didn't get along, and Strongbow hated me and Savage, but yet we were selling out every building everywhere across the world, and so anyway, old Jack Lanza comes over and, you know, looking like Lee Van Cleef from Clint Eastwood's Hang 'em High movies. How's old Strongbow treating you? I said, "Jack, I don't care about him. He's doing fine with me. But I knew if I said something, he's going to go right back and tell Strongbow, which gets more heat on me."
Right. Yeah, you know, it's like you just got to play the game and you just shut up and, you know, you keep doing.
I mean, that's it. And I got tired of playing the game. That's what happened to me. I really got tired of playing the game. I picked the phone up one night. I called Vince's house. His son answered. His son was like a teenager. I said, "Is your dad in? I need to speak with him." He says, "Yes." And then when Vince got on the phone, I said, "Let me change phones. I'm going upstairs, get on my office line. I don't want my children to hear this." and brother, let me tell you, I told him everything about my hemorrhoids, how bad they were hurting. He said, "Your hemorrhoids?" I said, "Yeah, I feel like I'm getting fucked."
Well, Honky,
that was a true story and a good way to end everything.
That's awesome. I love it, Honky. That's great.
So now you know I don't work there.
I hear you. I guess there's a reason I don't work there either. Then my hemorrhoids are hurting.
You know, they always call me back. You know.
Yeah, right. That's true.
They always call back.
It's been an absolute honor to have you on our show this evening, sir. I really, really appreciate it. Where can your fans catch up with you? You know, where can they find you next? Where are you wrestling? You know, where can people connect with you?
Well, this weekend I'm going up for the Rock and Roll Buck Zoom Off, and we're going to do a Minnesota tour for 4 days, and I'm going to northern Winnipeg for the next 4 days after that, and they can catch up with me at I'm on Facebook, honkytonkman.net. I mean, I'm not hard to find. Hell, the damn FBI, anybody, they can find me for.
Well, thank you very much, Honky. We really appreciate it, sir. And if you ever need anything from our show, you please just let us know. Okay, we're here.
Well, I appreciate it, and thank you. And Javo, keep going, buddy. Listen, it ain't over till it's over.
That's right. That's exactly what my pop says, man. It ain't over till it's over.
It ain't over till it's over.
That's right.
35 years, it ain't over.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a testament right there. Hey, Honky, thank you so much, man. Great talking to you, man, as always, and I hope to catch up with you here short one of these shows and shit. Yeah, we'll raise some hell someday.
All right.
There you go, brother.
Okay,
have a good night, sir. Wow, what an awesome interview, Chavo. That was really
awesome.
Cool.
That was fun. That was a great time. I told you guys, and you guys we touched on it. We could do a whole series with the Honky Tonk.
Oh, my God, yeah. Just imagine between him and Iron Sheik together. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness. That's crazy. That's crazy. No,
all
but
right,
great
man.
talk.
I know
great talking to him and great. Yeah, you know what? That's the thing. I got to tell everybody, thanks so much for listening to me. Stay on because you're still going to be talking a little more wrestling with Shawn, and I got to do some honeydew stuff with my wife. So be a good husband and a good father, and I got to go take off here, man. Thank you guys very much for listening to Chavo, and here's Shawn still here kicking with you guys.
All right, Chavo. Have a good night, sir.
All right, bye-bye.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was the one and only Mr. Chavo Guerrero, and we do have another caller here from the 818. Caller, are you there?
Hey, Shawn, it's old man Bill.
Hey, Bill, how are you, sir?
I'm fine. Too bad I can get to talk to Chavo because I know he's going to be wrestling here on March 27th in Hollywood. So.
Yeah, man. Sorry about that, man. I do apologize. You know, Honky had some things he needed to cover on this evening, and Chavo had the honeydews, as you heard. So what did you think of the interview?
Well, I got part of it. I just caught the last part of it. It's pretty good. I liked it. I mean, I've been following Honky Tonk for a long time and Chavo for a long time.
There you go.
Those guys are great wrestlers, and I hope they keep on doing what they're doing, even if we're not in the WWE.
Absolutely. Well, you know, earlier, just a second ago, you mentioned that Chavo's going to be wrestling in Hollywood. Whereabouts in Hollywood?
It's going to be. I think it's going to be at the Avalon, the Territory League.
That's right.
Championship.
That's right.
I think he's joining the LA Templars, I think, on that night.
That's right. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's wrestling with Gangrel, Rikishi, and all those guys.
Right. That should be a great show and everything. I'm hopefully planning on going on that thing. I don't have any plans as of this moment, but we'll see what happens.
There you go. All right, Bill. Well, I appreciate you calling in, sir. We got to get these bills paid, but keep checking in, man. We got the one and only. We got a big guest next week. I mean, it's going to be absolutely crazy. We got Mr. New Jack coming next week, so.
Oh, cool.
That'll be an interesting interview, man. So keep checking us out, man.
No problem. Take care.
All right, Bill.
Bye.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go ahead and take a very quick break again, and when we come back, we're going to wrap up today's show, and we're going to go ahead and discuss our guest for next week. Again, this is Shawn Clough on Lowdown Radio, again on GFL.TV, as well as UnlimitedRadio247.com.
For all your hair cutting and shaving needs, contact Bada Bing Barbershop, located at 6446 Paramount Boulevard, Long Beach, California, 90805. Some of their services include shampoos, regular cuts, fades, line-up, and full-service shaves. To make an appointment, call Tony at 562-984-2233 and let him know Lowdown Radio sent you for a very exclusive discount.
Greetings, my Madcast Nation. Madness here. Join me, CJ Xavier, and Kevin Dagger every Thursday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for the Madcast Podcast. Get all the hottest wrestling news from three guys with over 40 years of combined experience in the wrestling business. That's the Madcast Podcast here on UnlimitedRadio247.com. And that's all I got to say. Why? Because I have no catchphrase. Do you remember the days before professional wrestling was called sports entertainment? Then join promoter Bob Brooks every Saturday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern for classic professional wrestling, as he takes you back to the golden days of professional wrestling, all the way to the 80s on UnlimitedRadio247.com.
gentlemen, welcome back to Lowdown Radio, again, only on UnlimitedRadio247.com, as well as GFL.TV. And ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot of awesome shows here coming up on the Unlimited Radio family of shows. We have Under the Mat with Paloma with special guests Manny Villalobos and Total Pimp, P-I-M-P. Yeah, make sure you check that out this upcoming Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Time, which is 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and make sure you check that out. And we got a lot of awesome shows, like I mentioned. Madcast Podcast is going to be bringing on the one and only Jose Lothario. He's going to be coming on the show, and it's going to be awesome to hear from him as well. So make sure you check that out, guys. Make sure you check out that show. That's going to be at 5 p.m. on Thursday Pacific Standard Time, which is 7 p.m. on the Central Standard Time. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, as earlier I was mentioning that we're going to have a very big guest coming up next week, and we're going to have the one and only New Jack. Now, for those of you that know, recently we had the one and only, the franchise, Shane Douglas, on our show, and, you know, he was promoting the upcoming Extreme Reunion, and New Jack is also going to be part of that show, and, you know, you could definitely say he's somebody that has a lot to say about the business. So, make sure you tune in next Monday, again, at UnlimitedRadio247.com or GFL.TV. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Lowdown Radio. Thank you very much for tuning in this week, and make sure you check out all of our shows at UnlimitedRadio247.com. Thank you very much, and have a fantastic rest of your evening.
I got long sideburns and my hair slicked back. I'm coming to your town in my pink Cadillac. I'm just a honky-tonk man. I'm just a honky-tonk man. I'm just a honky-tonk man. I'm cool, I'm cocky, I'm bad. I pick a mean guitar, I wear a blue suede shoes. You ought to hear me sing the snakeskin blues. I'm just a honky-tonk man. I'm just a honky-tonk man. I'm just a honky-tonk man. I'm cool, I'm cocky, I'm bad. Roll, Elvis. Let the honky-tonk man show you how to rock and roll. Elvis who? He couldn't carry through if it had handles on it. Ooh, have mercy, baby. Listen to the honky-tonk man pick that guitar. Don't make you running wild. I got Peggy Sue beside me, the Colonel's in the back. I'm coming to your town in my pink Cadillac. I'm just a honky-tonk man. Just a honky-tonk man. I'm just a honky-tonk man. I'm cool, I'm cocky, I'm bad. I'm just a honky-tonk man. 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 I'm cool, I'm cocky, I'm bad. I'm just a honky-tonk man. I'm cool, I'm cocky, I'm
Geico presents sharing versus oversharing. Today, Bridget Griffin shared a video of her daily yoga routine, 2 self-help articles, and her new blog called Build Your Inner Bridge with Bridge. Girl, your sharing is turned into oversharing. No worries, Bridge. Geico has some info worth sharing with your 7 blog followers, like how you could save money on your car insurance, update your policy, and report a claim just by visiting Geico.com. How's that for building your inner bridge? Bridge. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.